Equations with fractions. To solve an equation with fractions, the simplest way to do this is to take the denominator in a fraction and multiply everything in the equation by that denominator, like this. The strategy is to eliminate the fraction. What I'm doing is scaling both sides of the equation up, maintaining equality. 4 times 1/4 is 4/4, so that's 4/4 x equals 4 times 8, which is 32. 4/4 is the same thing as 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So this just becomes 1x, or in other words, x. So x is equal to 32. Now, suppose I have a more complicated situation like this. Once again, I'm going to identify the denominator of the fraction, which is a 4, and I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 4 to scale the equation up to eliminate the fraction, like this. I'm now going to multiply out the first item on the left of the equal sign. So 4 times 3 is 12. And since it's 4 times 3x, it's 12x. And that's divided by 4. That is equal to 4 times 16, which is 64. Well, notice that I have a fraction that I can simplify. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So the expression simplifies to this. I have 3x equals 64. I still have to solve for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 3, which is the number in front of the thing that I'm trying to solve for. Like that. Anything divided by itself is 1. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So on the left-hand side of the equation, I'm left with x. And on the right-hand side, I'm left with 64/3. That fraction is in its lowest terms. Doesn't get any smaller. You can't reduce it, so you're done. What if you have a bit more of a complicated fraction? What about you have something like this? Two-thirds x equals 4/5, and you have to solve for x. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify the denominator associated with the variable, and that denominator is a 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 3. Here's what's going to happen. I have 3 times 2/3 x equals 3 times 4/5. I'm going to multiply out this equation now. Oops. 3 times 2 is 6. So since it's really 2x, it's going to be 3 times 2x is 6 up top. That's divided by 3. 3 times 4 is 12. That's divided by 5. The fraction 6x over 3 reduces to 2x because 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2x equals 12/5. This is looking a little bit more chewy. What do I do now? Well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides of this equation by 2 to solve for x. The 2 is the number in front of the thing, the variable that I'm trying to solve for. So here we go. I'm going to have 2x divided by 2. And that's going to be equal to the fraction 12/5 divided by 2. Now, I'm going to show you a trick on how to think about writing this out. I said 12/5 divided by 2. Well, this really could be written like this, 12/5, then a division sign divided by 2, the number 2. Well, you remember, if you're dividing fractions, you take the second fraction and flip it and change the division issue into a multiplication issue. Here's how you go about doing this. Well, first of all, anything divided by itself is 2. So anything divided by itself is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So the 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So that leaves me just an x on the left. And this is going to be equal to 12/5 times 1/2. And the reason this is now 1/2 is the number 2. You can really write the number 2. That's the same as 2/1. And so if I flip this, this then becomes 1/2 if I flip the number 2. So now I've transformed my division problem into a multiplication problem. So I have x equals 12 times 1 over 5 times 2. Notice I've put all the numerators over one fraction bar and all the denominators under the same fraction bar. And I can do that because I'm multiplying. Just keep that in mind. It's a little trick. So now, x equals 12 times 1 is 12, divided by 10. Well, that fraction can reduce because 12 is the same as 2 times 6. 10 is the same as 2 times 5. Once again, anything divided by itself is 1, so I can cancel out the 2's effectively. So what I'm left with is x equals 6/5.